Recording in progress.
Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. I am so excited to be here this morning. Lots of fun stuff happening. And on top of it, we had conference last week. For those of you who are with Girls with Grit, if you were there virtually, if you were there in person, it was amazing.
It was.
And yeah, it definitely was. And today at noon Eastern time, we're going to do implementation for how to implement the things that you learned at conference, right?
Mhm.
That's really important because what happens when we go to conference? You got all this information, you got all these amazing, amazing, amazing speakers, and then you go home and you take all your copious notes, and it's like, so I love that the girls decided this year to do an implementation call so that you can put this into bite-sized pieces. And then maybe someone else picked up on something that you didn't know about and that you didn't pick up on because of one reason or another. Remember, when we go to conference, about 17% of what was told to us, we actually absorb because it's just normal. I mean, it was 2.5 days of lots of information. So I love that they're doing this right now. And, I had the ability to speak on who I am and why seniors are so important to me. So, for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Felicia Saraceno. I have been in real estate for 6 years full time. My niche is seniors. And why? Well, because I was an executive director in 2 states. And before being an executive director, I was also a sales director. And after COVID hit, at that time, I worked for a very large CCRC that was millions of dollars of buy-in. And I decided after COVID that I wasn't going to go through wearing a double mask and a face shield for 8 hours again. It wasn't my thing anymore. And the one piece that I noticed when I moved seniors into senior living, and at that time I moved about 300 seniors into senior living. Um, what I noticed is the families didn't live nearby. They didn't care about the house. It was a burden to them. They didn't want the stuff. Heck, they didn't want that china. They didn't want nothing in the house. And so they sold the property typically for a loss. And they just didn't care because they just cared about getting mom or dad somewhere safe. And that's all that mattered. And so I wanted to take my two loves and push them together. But guess what happened after I became a real estate agent? I wanted to help everybody. And guess what I ended up helping? Nobody. And so once I started niching down, it really helped to define who I was. Now, I moved to Naples 8 years ago. I think this is really important for everyone to know. So everybody had to learn who I was, and I had a network to meet people in the senior living industry. And that's anyone who served seniors within this industry. So I did some key things like joining a senior focused networking group, which now I'm the president of. And I really made sure that I got to know everyone. But then what ended up happening after I left senior living? Everyone's like, "Do you work in senior living?" I was doing placement at the same time. Are you placement? Are you a real estate agent? What are you doing? So now I had to win them over to become raving fans. And the one thing I noticed when I was doing senior placement, which if you don't know what that is, we'll get into that um, at another time. People saw me as double dipping and they didn't want to refer to me because they thought, well, how could you help people with two very important things when the house is such a big piece of that? And so I made that decision to partner with senior placement professionals because if they're moving in my area an average of 8 people in a month to senior living, I wanted an opportunity to list those houses because that list price was going to be way higher, sometimes 2 to 3 times higher than what the fee is for them moving into senior living. So I made that executive decision to do that. I now have a 5-person team And my team helps here in Southwest Florida. And I now have a coaching platform because of my knowledge and my background. I'm now well over 400 people that I've moved into senior living. I have seen every family dynamic. I have done family coaching. I have done over 15 hoarder homes that I've decluttered. I've gone through all the things and I help folks with very, very, very intimate part of their life and transition that is challenging for them. And now I'm able to share that with everyone here, which is really important. I'm a numbers person. If you know me, I love numbers. I love data. Data doesn't lie, right? That's super important to know. Um, I do have a core 5 pillars, and this took me a long time to really figure out what my core 5 pillars are within the senior niche industry, right, for real estate. And first off, before I get into that, I want everyone to write in the chat, what market do you serve? Where are you all over the US? Because I will tell you that we move people all over the US from down here in Southwest Florida. It's amazing. And this past year, we moved 2 seniors to the North Carolina, Charlotte area. We also moved some folks up to Maryland. We have some folks going back up to Massachusetts this year that we did. So, there is, when you hear, oh, well, I just serve Southwest Florida. Well, no, because my folks have moved down here and they started out as snowbirds and now they're moving closer to family. Regardless if they like the snow or not, they want to be closer to family. So I think that's important. But when we think of 5 pillars, you have to think of how you can help your clients kind of segment into this niche, right? So some of you, this might be a little bit refresher, but to some of you, it might be something that is eye-opening to you and what I focus on in my business. So I always focus on senior living and how to transition within the whole aspect of the senior living industry. So I don't think of senior living as just a senior living community. It is more than that. There's a lot of different aspects, and sometimes there's baby steps to get somebody to move to a community. And remember, we don't use the F word, we don't use facility. It's not a facility, it's a community that they live in. So let's make sure, like when we're talking to our professionals, we talk the talk because they pick up on that, just as I did. And so I focus on senior living. My BOD, my board of directors, they are my referral ecosystem. We really have trained a lot of our agents on how to successfully partner with people. And a good referral is someone that you get the proper introduction to, not a text message to you that says, hey, Felicia, I met with the Robinsons. They are going to be moving. They live in such and such community, and they're going to reach out to you when they're ready. No, that's not a referral. That's a Google search. So we make sure, oh, my thing's saying I have my hand raised. We make sure that we teach you how to do that. Social media. How many of you, just a raise of hands, how many of you do social media every day, post every day? See a couple of hands raised. I post between 5 to 7 times a day on multiple platforms. 31% of my business comes from social media. That's it. And you want to know what? Right now, I listen to Gary Vee just about every morning. Gary Vee, Cody Sanchez, Ed Milet, like I'm always leveling up my mentality. And Gary Vee is right. He said social media is free for right now. So why aren't we doing it? And I love Lisa just said, I just did a video right before we joined. Yay. I like to do my social media just as a little FYI, first thing in the morning. It's quiet. My brain's quiet. And I like to post in the morning. I do schedule posts out, but I like to do things that are like I can brainstorm in the morning. I can think about what my thought process is and whatnot.
And to mention, your hair and makeup look good in the morning too.
That's true. You have a fresh face. And nobody can say that you look like your lipstick just came
You
off.
look like you've had a heck of a day.
And you're like trying to smooth out your hair. You don't have to worry about that. That's hysterical, but that is true. And so that's something that I've always done. But my fourth pillar is workshops and webinars. How many of you want to do workshops and webinars or educational events?
I'm wanting to do one with my estate planning attorney. She's gone on vacation, but I need to start planning. I'm just not quite sure where to start.
Ah, well, this is great. We do have a class on that, a master class, and Lisa, I we can kind of brainstorm together on that too. Um, and I do on average 30 workshops a year. That is how I maintain my database. That's how I get my clients because you know who's geared towards attending these, the adult child or the senior themselves. And I partner with, like Lisa had said, my bod members. They're your core people who are going to help you bring education to the community. And when I do that, they have to invite their folks. And now my database just got larger. So when we do these events, we normally like to keep them around 20 to 30 people, more intimate, more niched down, because I cannot work a room that has hundreds of people in it. It is physically impossible. Now, I do host, I'm part of the Seniors Blue Book Symposium every year. And the one in my county is 750 people go to it. And the one in Collier and Lee County, which is the county up from me, is 350 people. Do you think I really get a chance to talk to all those people? Nope. But I do get the opportunity to get all of their contact information so I can drip on them and follow up with them. But workshops, seminars, they convert into clients. Every time I do a senior scams event, I always walk away with at least 1 to 2 listing appointments right on the spot. Boom. It's my favorite one to do because I'm not talking about real estate. I'm talking about ways to protect yourself. And I do partner with another person for these types of events. I don't really host events on my own because let's be honest, guess what no one wants to come to? A downsizing event. They don't want to. They're like, I don't want to downsize. I'm avoiding downsizing. My kids are going to take care of it. I don't want to be part of this. I'm afraid to downsize. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find. And they go, what happens when you put this in front of them is their mortality rate is in front of them and all of their regrets are in front of them. And you just reminded them of that. And now they're like, ugh, I got to talk to her again. No, we want to make it fun. We want to make it informational, educational for them so that now they come to you as a resource. So that's something. And then my number 6 pillar is universal design. How many of you know what that is? Yeah, universal design. Really, the easiest way to put the universal design is 6% of our homes nationwide are appropriate to age in place right now across the nation. They're just not. The doorways are too small. There's too many steps to get up to the front door. There's too many transitions in between different rooms. You got this transition, now we step down and we have a sunken living room. And this is a nightmare for someone aging in place or for multi-generational living. Multi-generational living this year is up 17% for buyers buying this year. And multi-generational living is they're bringing in their mother, their mother-in-law, they have kids. They're the sandwich generation, right? They're bringing everyone to their home. So how can we help buyers right now look at a property from a different perspective? Now, last week when I was able to share the information that I had last week on the generational report, it wasn't out for 2026. But Jess, can you help share that PDF I sent you? I think she's doing it. Yeah. All right. So the report came out the other day. And if you saw my Facebook, I was so excited. I was at a listing and I got an alert because I do Google alerts as well. So we're going to go right to page 3. So the most important thing for us is identifying who our home buyers and sellers are and their age. So the easiest way to do that is to take the baby boomers, the young and old baby boomers, and the silent generation. The silent generation is still here. They're over 80 years old. They're really starting to dwindle out. They're the ones that are actively living in senior living, or if they haven't made that decision, like my 98-year-old right now, who's still not ready for senior living, but exploring it. And we've been helping them sell off some of their properties because she does not have a savings. Her savings is in her properties. Okay. So we're helping them be set up for her future because if you heard me talk about her before, her husband is 86. So we're helping this couple right now. But you're really looking at the younger baby boomers and the older baby boomers. And I'm just going to share this and summarize for you. The amount of folks who sold their home last year age 61 and over. We know that there's a few more age demographics in there younger than 61, but for this, on this report, we have to go with the data we have. So anyone age 61% and older, that is 59% of our sellers. Do I have your attention? That is almost 60% of sellers last year were seniors. And they have very unique needs. And we have to make sure that we're not transactional in how we help them because their needs are much greater than just selling that home. And when we look at it from that direction, we can now establish a strong senior focused business on how we can help our clients. And that comes down to those 59% of people. Do they have a will? Are they going to update their will post closing? That's my number one question I ask every person. Now, if you haven't done this before, and those of you who've heard me before heard this, I said this, call every single person that you sold a home to in the past 2 years and say, post closing, how's the new house? How's the new place? What's happening with the kids, the dog, blah, 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 whatever the case is. Post closing, did you update your will? 67% of everyone in the US does not have a will. And guess what you need in order to move into senior living? Yep, a will and advance directives. It is a requirement. It is not optional. They cannot move you in. Remember, I moved 300 people into senior living. It is a requirement for nursing to have that. They need to know if you have a DNR, do not resuscitate. They need to know if you have your advance directives. The other thing they need to know is, do you have your funeral arrangements made? And my funeral company that I work with, because it took me a while to find that right partner, she gave me 9 referrals in the month of January. 9 that all have to sell the home now that there's a passing in the family. And guess what I did? The most uncomfortable thing that I've ever done. I accompanied the funeral director to their home with their loved one's ashes. And I was like, oh God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But you want to know what? I did not come from a place of I'm here to sell the home. I came from the place of how can I help you? You don't live in this state. The house is a friggin' mess. There's donation bags everywhere. How can I help you? Oh, and by the way, I can help you sell the home too. So if you need me to help with a clean out, we can make an arrangement. Even though you're not ready to sell this listing right now, you get that listing signed and who cares? Put it for 6 months from now with an addendum to cover your tracks. And now I'm helping bring donation items and my team to the Salvation Army, to Goodwill, helping them empty that house out, host an estate sale, because y'all know I love hosting estate sales at an open house at the same time. It's my favorite thing. Get 200 plus people through that listing at one time. So I'm giving you little nuggets. But why this is so important is our seniors need extra comfort. And I was just talking to Kimberly, who was on earlier today. They need so much hand holding and care. Yes. They do. White glove service is impeccably important. And if you were at the conference last week, they talked about unreasonable hospitality. And I'm like, well, I'm already doing it. And I read the book years ago because that was one of my requirements for senior living was to read that book along with EOS systems. But if we are providing that service for above and beyond, they will refer because once you move one senior in, their friends move in. Now you can dominate that neighborhood as long as you are taking the appropriate steps. So when we do our discovery calls, I ask them tons of questions. How many kids do you have? How many properties do you have? Where do your kids live? Are they one of your power of attorneys? How many power of attorneys do you have? Who's your And they go, why are you asking all these questions? I go, because you know what? I've had seniors, I've had clients right now trip, fall, end up in the hospital, and now I got an offer on the table. I need to know who to talk to. I need to know how to service them from a high level. If we don't ask the questions, we won't get the answers we need, and we will be calling our brokers in a panic, going, oh my God, I close in 3 days. My client's in the ICU. True story. This did just happen to me last summer. Tripped, fell, brain bleed, had to get the brain bleed drained in the ICU. And I already knew the son was the power of attorney. I set everything up, send over the power of attorney, send the information for the title company over. Let's get you set up on a mobile notary. They'll come right to the hospital for you. We're still closing on that property. The doctor says they're going to make a full recovery. Great. Title says okay. Mortgage says okay. Lender said okay. Got their blessing. I was like, let's move it on. It's out of my hands. I'm just servicing the client, right? Client did make a full recovery. True story. I didn't think they were. But this happens all the time. We need to be prepared and share that story with your clients. If they go, well, I don't want to give you all that information. Well, guess what happened to, you can call me your mentor, I don't mind, or a colleague, or whatever the case may be. This is what I do. This is my niche. So this is how we service our clients. Now, on the flip side, buyers. Buyers that were seniors over the age of 61 was 47%. It went up 1%. No, sorry, 46%. It stayed flat this year. It went up 1% for sellers. It was flat for buyers. So you can still right size someone from a 3,000 square foot home that they're only using 3 bedrooms to a 55 and over community. And now you're double ending that sale and you're helping them figure out that universal design. Is this home going to help you age in place properly? And how can we ensure that if your grandkids are visiting, that we have a tub in the guest bathroom, not just a walk-in shower, right? How can we ensure this home can service multi-generations? So this is something that I'm the numbers geek. I love this stuff and I love to share it. Now, throughout this report, we'll just scroll down. There's a lot of data in here. There's a lot of things that do not pertain to me or what I use it for. Age of home buyers is in here. The average age, the median average age. There's going to be household income. There's going to be a lot of data. But what I will tell you, and we can stop the screen share too, is if you want a copy of this, just write in the chat DEM for demographics, DEM, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of this because NAR made it very challenging to find this year. I actually had to find my NAR number. I had to do a checkout. They wanted to charge me $400. I had to prove that I was a member. It was like a hot mess yesterday when I got this. So this has some other demographics in it that might pertain to you and what you're doing. But for me, this is the one that I put into my that page that shows the age of home buyers with the baby boomers. Why recreate the wheel when I'm doing presentation? I screenshot this and put it in my presentation. The share of buyers and sellers by generations. I screenshot it and put it in. Yeah, you can create your own chart if you're comfortable doing that in PowerPoint or Canva, but why do it? Just make it simple. And then I source it by saying it's from National Association to, of realtors, NAR. And I let everyone know I didn't make this data up, it's here. But what's really important is that we are showcasing to them that, yes, like you are important. $9 trillion worth of wealth is going to be transferred over the next 4 to 5 years. Now, if you talk to some people, that number does fluctuate. And I actually had a financial advisor call me the other day asking me about, did you hear about this $9 trillion worth of wealth transfer? And I laughed. I was like, we know all about it. We service seniors. This is important, right? So we know that the baby boomers are the most educated demographic, that generation that we've had. They are online. They are doing their shopping online. They are researching everything online. They're using AI. A lot of them like ChatGPT, some of them like Gemini. I ask everyone what they like to use, and I kind of ask them because I want to see how looped in they are with everything. They're smart. So if you're not showing up within this niche, they're going on their phone, pretend this is my phone. Hey, Chatty G, who is the top real estate agent that serves seniors in my market? And I have a class on that too, on how to make sure that you show up as that for your SEO. And now that is called AEO. And it's for the AI section of your website search and the spiders that go down and all the fun stuff. And that's something that's really, really important. We need to level up our service and how we're helping our clients, but then also how we show up online, how we show up in our social media. If you're posting everything on your social media that's all about new construction and first-time home buyers, but you want to focus on seniors, you think there's a little disconnect there? We don't want to be too tough on making sure that we're missing out on servicing our clients, but we need to drop in some information on why this is so important. Now, I do want to share with you so we do have a lot of different things out there right now. I have been a coach in real estate for working in the senior niche for well over a year and a half. We have over 250 recorded hours of master classes that we have done. On top of it, we have over 300 recorded hours of calls just like this. It's a little tough to try and find stuff, right? If you get access to that whole database. Well, I created a great blueprint. It's a 12-week self-led blueprint for you, and it's set up so that you can figure out this whole entire niche the right way. So it's set up for blueprint, templates, go. And so if you want some extra info on that, I'm going to be doing an explainer call on this tomorrow morning at 10. Just type blueprint in the chat and I will get you the Zoom info. And this is for folks who really want to dive in. For folks who are dabbling or just unsure, listen, we do this every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I drop tons of nuggets. I dropped a ton today. Those of you who have heard me, it could be a great reminder before, but I dropped a ton more for you. There's so much that you can do within this industry to get you clients, right? Now, giving back to the community is my unofficial sixth pillar that I do. I don't support the Children's Foundation. I am a mom, but I don't, because that's mixed messaging in the community. I don't support 7 different organizations that serve seniors. I support one that helps serve seniors in my market, and it's the longest serving senior focused group. That's a nonprofit since the 90s in my area. So the one thing that I would do if I were you is see where you can help give back, and you will find like-minded professionals who are doing the same thing. So if it is the Alzheimer's Association, then that's where you're going to go. If it's the Parkinson's Association, that's where you're going to go. Now, we have something called the Alzheimer's Support Network here, which they rival the Alzheimer's Association because the association takes all of the monies that they have and it goes to a nationwide research. The Alzheimer's Support Network takes all the money that it takes in and gives back to grassroots efforts within our market. So I'm very focused on grassroots efforts because I've chaired the Parkinson's Walk for 3 years in a row. I've chaired the Alzheimer's Association's events, longest day, whatever. The ROI that you're going to look for gets diminished when it goes out to nationwide. You have to get hyper local. So my event tomorrow is 300 folks will be there, from professionals to doctors to case managers to senior living, home care, home health, lenders, professionals, financial advisors. I mean, we have heavy hitters that are going to come tomorrow as well. And our goal is to raise scholarship funds for folks going into the healthcare industry that serves seniors. We've been doing it since the 90s. So we're trying to give $50,000 away in scholarships this year. Last year, we gave $26,000 away to 14 individuals, which was the most that the organization ever gave away. But my focus is in the community. When I do post things online, it's still senior focused. Do you see what I mean? So I see a lot of your head shaking. So it's everything I do revolves around this. If I start going out and saying I'm supporting autistic children, although I will go to an event like that, I'm not leading that organization or part of that organization. So it's one of those things. Sarah asked, will the explainer call be recorded? Yes, we'll record that. And if you just write Blueprint, I'll make sure that you get a copy of that. And at the end of the day, we're here to help you. Ask me questions. Friend request me on Facebook. Yeah, I do check Facebook. I text a little bit better. And so you could always text me. In the next 2 days, I will be wild with setup. I have setup today. And I see, Brenda, you have a question, but I'll put my phone number in the chat. Thank you.
Can you repeat what the 7 pillars are?
Mine?
I got a couple of them, but I didn't get.
Yeah, absolutely. So my pillars, because I have like the unofficial 6th one, so I'll go over those. Senior living, which is more than just communities. My BOD, or my referral ecosystem, is what I call that. Social media, number 3. Number 4, workshops and seminars. I even have a downsizing club. It's a thing. Number 5 is universal design, because I'm helping more families move down here. And then my unofficial 6th one is community support. So it's important, like I call that my unofficial one, but it's important to volunteer in your community, but not volunteer that it takes over your life. Got to be a balance.
Where does your NAIPC involvement fall under which category?
So that's under community involvement. The problem that, and I love NAIPC, if you don't know what NAIPC is, it's the National Aging in Place Council. We have the Southwest chapter down here. The organizations that we have that serve seniors, the one that I have in Collier County is Naples Interagency, and the other one in Lee is Cameo. They've been around for over 25 years each. NAIPC is a very steep initiation fee, and it is 3 to 4 times higher than the competitors in our industry. So it's something that we are striving to implement. But when an organization charges $75 for an initiation for the year and NAIPC charges $250, it's a very big disparity, right? So that is something that you have to also look at. What's the cost to play? And so it's not catching on as much because in Southwest Florida, we have a ton of resources here. You may not have a ton of resources. It may be the only one in your area. But just down here, we are lucky enough to have a community of very, very driven individuals that give back. My colleague, one of my very good friends, and my vice president of Naples Interagency, she hosts 62 events a season. And season is from December till April. 62 events for seniors. It's hard to, you got to join them to play because it's hard to compete with that, right? So you have to figure out what's going on in your area. Just Google it. You'll find it. All right. So does anyone have any questions before we wrap it up for the day? Go a little over, trying to keep it to a half hour. Diana.
Just had a question about, I noticed that there was a different group. Are these two groups separate or do they like go together?
Sure. So there are two different groups, and there is the PAC group for Productive Aging Collective, but I also have another group from all of my speaking events, and that's the senior, it's a senior mentor call, and it is the senior advocate community as well. So it's important to know that I'm also growing within my brokerage. And so we have kind of two different groups right now going on. But if you are part of, you've been part of PAC for a while, Corey also has a senior division that he is growing with his new brokerage as well. So we are all evolving in how we can help all of our folks nationwide. And this is how I can help pour in to make a difference within the folks that are able to hear me speak or within my brokerage. So I do open it up for all brokerages as well. But great question.
The blueprint that you were talking about, is that with PAC?
The blueprint is something that I've done on my own after hearing. Yep, it is my own that I have launched. And it is something that is very important because I've listened to all of my clients. And at the end of the day, all of our coaching students say, this is too much. Dumb it down, make it simple. If I've never, ever had the ability to get into this industry, how do you simplify it and make it simple? And so this is something that I'm very, very focused on doing. Yeah, but great question.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions before we head out for the day?
So what's your suggestion, the first step on getting started in this?
So here's my suggestion on the first step. If this is new to you, join these calls, learn a lot. I also have if I've done this before, I just did this because if this was the first time for me getting into this industry, where would I start? What would I do? So I have the 5 ways of breaking into this niche, and I can send that to you all as well. And it's a quick little download of where do I start first and how do you, it's sort of just a recap of what we had today, but you have to educate yourself first. By education, I don't mean go out and get all the designations that you need. I don't, because designations equal a lot of time. You can get certifications behind your name, like the alphabet soup, but your clients don't know what that means. So you need to know the tools to help you go and actually get clients that you need to serve. And this is something that I feel very strongly about. Once you start making income, and it's your off season, because like right now in Southwest Florida, we're going into our off season. My off season is time for me to go get all of my CEUs done, get all the things done that I need for my license. What do I want to learn? Where do I want to level up in terms of, do I want my GRI, anything of that nature, right? So just make sure that whatever you're doing has a step-by-step guide on how to get you from taking information and converting that information into ROI. Because I know a lot of you have been on our calls for a year and a half, and you're still like, I haven't want to pull the trigger. I'm not sure what I want to do. And this goes for any call that you attend, right? Any call that you have and that you attend, you go, should I do it? Should I not do it? We had this call earlier. What's going to help drive that business? So,
Alicia, just,
sorry, I'm getting a message coming across from Frankie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I joined the pack several months ago, and I've been joining the calls every time that I can. And then I've been going through the modules in there. But I do get what you're saying. Sometimes you're still kind of like, well, like the blueprint, I'm not sure where to jump in. So I'm taking bits and pieces from each thing and saying, okay, well, how can I implement that? But I know at one point you mentioned you had like a rack card.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall if any of those were about what you would put on one of those cards as information to pass?
One of my things that I do share on my blueprint is my exact rack card and why this is my business card. This is my calling card and why I use certain colors. I don't use red. Seniors can't see it. I have been in marketing for over 20 years and working with seniors in marketing for many years. If you use glossy paper, you're out. They're pissed at you. They can't write it with their ballpoint pen or their gel pen. It's going to write off. They're now mad at you. What fonts I use, what size I use, so that they could see it, so that they can understand that. So this is part of something, the template that I'm able to provide for you, along with templates like a roadmap for your client. Or another template that I have as well is, what to ask, what to say when you walk into a senior living community for a professional tour. Why do you do professional tours? Why do you have to? So this is something that I've worked really hard on, and I'm giving you my templates that I actually use because I'm in the trenches with you all. Did you know, like, I have 12 listings right now. They're all senior focused. Every single one of them. I have 5 buyers. 3 of them are seniors. This is it. This is all I do every day. So I'm giving you, I'm in the trenches, and I hear and I see and I get the nervousness that they have when their house doesn't sell because, the market changes much on a quicker basis than they'd like it to. So, these are things that I'm a social worker by day and helping calm nerves down for everyone and trying to strategize with them to get that property sold.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely interested in
knowing
what kind of, I'm going next week to do my second community tour. It's I think they do assisted living and memory care. So
perfect.
And they seem very excited to have me come when I explain the purpose of my visit.
Do yourself a favor. If you're going to see any communities, check out their reviews.
Yes.
It's free. Check it out. Know what you're going into before you get there. It's always an interesting thing. Senior living is very incestuous. Been in it for a long time. A lot of people move around from place to place. All right, my friends. Well, I have to run. I got to go do some setup and get some baskets and haul thousands of dollars of stuff around and hopefully make $50,000 tomorrow night, I should say. So thanks to you all for joining. Like I said, you could feel free to reach out to me or call me. I'm happy to answer questions. I do a half-hour call for free for one time. But if you just have a quick question, I will answer that quickly, or I can send you to set up a hour-long mentorship call with me as well. So I hope you'll all have a great day, and thanks for joining.